All right. What is going on, everybody, on YouTube? Griffin here, coming back to you guys with another live stream from the Millennial Motivation Entrepreneur YouTube channel. First and foremost, if you're new to the channel and tuning in for the first time, we'd love to add you to our awesome community of like-minded individuals. So definitely consider hitting that subscribe button below. And while you're at it, check out our totally free Discord group chat. That will also be down in the description box, one of the first couple links down there. If you don't know what Discord is, it's an app you can get for pretty much any smartphone as far as I know. And it's just an app that we use to chat about all the stocks we're hopping in and out of. We have a few tabs in there for the reselling people as well. So if you're into just chatting with a bunch of people that are looking to make money online, that group's definitely for you. We hit over 60 members in there. I believe there's like 61 to 63 of us in there now. So it's just awesome to see that community growing pretty quickly as well. But yeah, we'll just hop right in it. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that our stream quality is doing all right. Looks like we are finally up and going. So I know a few of you will be tuning in here in just a few seconds probably. But with that, I'll just go ahead and hop right in. So we traded some oil today. We kept buying UWT all the way down because I am not panicking. There's a lot of, I wouldn't even say a lot of people. There's some people that think oil is going to keep dropping. I do not, which is why I actually had oil pulled up. But I did buy some UWT, which we'll discuss here in a second. And by some, I mean a lot. At least for the amount of money in my account, I took a pretty hefty position, and I kept averaging down throughout the day. My average buy cost for UWT is around $14.94, something like that, $14.90 in that area. So we are still down, but we'll talk about that in a second, like I said. So when you look at our 180-day chart, you can see we got rejected pretty much right where we did early on in November before we continued to slide down. So it is going to be a pretty tough area of resistance there. However, we are finding some support right around where we did again in November, right before we tried to push up and got rejected. So we're hovering right around that 55 to 55.40 range as our area of support. I believe at one point oil dropped down to the 55.20s. Actually almost 55 on the dot. So yeah, 55 is definitely our major support, obviously. And we talked about this, I believe, on the Sunday Stock Watch. If not, we did for sure on Friday's live stream, where I said I wouldn't be surprised either way if oil would go up 2 to 3% on Monday, or if it would drop 2 to 3% on Monday. I heard that President Trump sent out a tweet regarding oil, and a lot of people are giving that the credit for why oil dropped so much. I didn't even go to his Twitter page to look, because at the end of the day, I don't really care. In my opinion, they just did it overall to give them a legit excuse to pull oil back a little bit. Oil was overall due for a slight pullback. We pulled back a little bit on Friday, and I wanted to believe that we were going to stay above 57, but something in my gut told me I would not be surprised to see this drop to 56 or lower. I didn't think, in all honesty, we would come quite down to around 55 or below it. It is very encouraging that we did stay and hold above that $55 range. You can see also it was a pretty tough area of resistance. When we started this little rally, we got rejected, and then we kept going lower until we found some support around $51 to $52. But we're due for this pullback, so I'm not worried about oil whatsoever. I don't think oil's starting to roll over by any means. If anything, our 1 hour chart is looking great. Looks like the selling is finally going to start wearing off. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised to see oil go back over $56 tomorrow. It wouldn't even be that big of a gain. It's already at 55.44. It's pretty much unched after hours. But if we go up to just 56, which I definitely think we're going to tomorrow, as long as it's an up day, you're only talking roughly a 1% gain. So I would not be surprised to see oil up about 1% overall tomorrow. Now, what did I do? I was playing UWT. I actually got out of my Gush while Gush was in the green early on this morning. I sold Gush for, I believe it was like 11.44, 11.47, somewhere in that range, early on near the highs of the day. I was very shocked to see Gush up, so I was like, you know what, I was up a little over 1% on the position overall, so I was like, I'm just going to go ahead, take my profit, and run, and if anything, I'll jump into either Gush or UWT, whichever looks better. Obviously, Gush did not hardly move today, only down about 0.5%, where UWT was down about 9 to 10%, at one point a little over 10% actually, earlier on. So I started buying a little early. I took a pretty hefty position right around like 15 to 15.25. I forget. We can go actually and look at my history. We got 3 of you tuning in. So you can see overall we were down a little over 1% today. We gained some of that back after hours as UWT is up around 1460. You can see I have about 100 shares right now. Pretty big position in all honesty. About 80 to 90% of my account is within UWT. I also sold some HEAR, well, all of my HEAR, and we'll talk about that in a second. Pretty much broke even on it, so I was happy to get that and get that money back and put that money to work. But so you can see, I just kind of kept buying throughout the day. You can see I sold the HEAR. I think it was a total of 1 cent per share loss, so I lost 10 cents on that entire share, on that entire position. So I'm definitely happy that I got out of that. I got tired of just keeping my money in that because I don't think honestly it's going to push up to 17 anytime soon like I was originally hoping for. But so you can see at every point that I bought some UWT this afternoon, 1457, 1462, 1465. Had a lot of cancels in there. 10 shares at 6, or no, that was my Turtle Beach sell. 4 shares at 4. I kept just adding about 5 to 10, 20 positions throughout the day. You can see 15 at 4. I just kept averaging down essentially. It all started out whenever I bought. It was like I started out with 10 shares around 15.25, and then you can see where I sold Gush. So it was 11.43 actually. So I sold that. That's about a 20 cent per share profit, maybe a little less. I think my average buy cost was 11.27. So we can just do the math on it real quick for those of you that are interested. We made about 16 cents per share divided by 11.27. It's not a big profit at all. I mean, almost 1.5%. So I mean, at least it's profit at the end of the day. 1.5% return on that investment. I invested into Gush. When was it? Thursday, I believe. Thursday or Friday. I don't remember which day exactly. But just a quick little flip, 1 to 2%. If I can make 1% or more on every single trade, I'm not going to complain. My goal is to at least, at the bare minimum, break even to 3% per trade. If I can just at least, like I said, rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, do not forget rule number 1. Just do not lose money. If you can break even, that's why I went ahead and settled with just selling HEAR with literally it was a 10 cent loss. I mean, it wasn't even, I'm not worried about that. I can make that up in the next trade easily. Just always focus on, at the minimum, making your money back. If it's a bad trade, whatever, but always at least try to make your money back. But that's not to say if something goes totally against you, the stock slides 10% to stay in it forever, but just try to do your analysis good enough to where you're at least going to break even, but the goal is at least 1 to 3% per trade. If I'm up that much, I'll consider taking positions off and all that. But yeah, so you can just see, like I said, I mean, pretty much just, this is all from today. We started at 15.24, and we pretty much just kept, so I sold the rest, 5 shares. I had 5 shares, and I sold the rest at 11.46. So, yeah, about 1.5% total. But yeah, we started at 15.24, and we essentially just kept averaging down. What made my average so high is I took some pretty hefty positions, the 30 shares, and then where was the other one? 30 shares, and was this it? No. Yeah, 10 shares. So I took a pretty hefty position, 40 shares overall, around 15.24. So that is what ultimately made my buy cost, my average cost so high, is literally about half of my positions were at 15.24. So if we actually go into that position, you can see overall 99 shares with an average buy cost, like I said, $14.94. So I was pretty much right on the dot. And you can see overall we're down about 2%, nothing major, 2 1/3 essentially percent, down overall about $35. I'm not worried about it. Like I said, I think overall UWT is going to, at the minimum, fill the gap to about 15.30 at the minimum, probably tomorrow, right around 15.30. And then my target sell is actually 16.25. If this can ultimately fill the gap and go back up to around 16.25, I'll consider selling all my shares at that point, potentially, depending on how oil's moving on that day, obviously. But I'll pull off quite a bit with the average buy cost of, like I said, around $14.94 if I can sell for around 16.25, that's going to be around an 8% return, 8 to 9% return on my money. So what's my total money put in? 14. So if we're down 2 1/3, it's going to have to go up 10% for me to get my 8% return. So if you want to do the math on that, 1,444 times, we'll just say 10% is what this is ultimately going to have to go up for me to get that 8% return. You're talking, it's going to go up about $144 from where it's at right now, which if you want to know your total profit, just subtract roughly what you're owing, or not owing, but what you're down. So we'll say we're down 35 bucks. So overall, we'll make about $110 on that trade. And that's probably going to be within this week, hopefully, obviously. But I'm pretty confident within that trade. And that's, again, if I sell it at 16.25. So, I mean, if we pull back out some, go to the 20-day, 1-hour chart, definitely potential. You can see why my target sells right around 16.25. We're going to see some pretty strong, zoom in on it here. We're going to see some pretty strong resistance right in between that 16.15 and 16.30 mark. So my target sell is 16.20 to 16.25. However, if it looks like we're going to ultimately rebound, fill the gap, and then just keep on going and make a new high, then I'll hold out and see if I can get 16.50 to 17. But I'm not going to hold out or anything. If it looks like there's a ton of resistance, it keeps getting rejected, at the minimum, I'm going to take half of my shares out, sell about 50 shares, and then kind of just play it by ear at that point. But I have this set at 14.45. Let me see. If we look at our 1-day chart, I had it set at 14.45 just as a kind of an alert, just to kind of remind me while I'm at work. It would just go off in my headphone, and I would keep my eye on UWT to potentially buy some more if it continued to slide. I just don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to slide much more. If it does, I do think overall the max pain, if I remember right, I think I said $14 in our Discord group chat. Yeah, I think around $14, maybe slightly less, is the max pain for how much further this could drop. If it were to drop that much, we're talking roughly another 4% to the downside move. So if that happens, I'll probably use what's left of my buying power and buy up some more shares. But overall, I'm not changing my mind whatsoever. As for oil, I'm still very bullish on oil. There's really no reason for me not to be. Nothing's really changed. Just a good little pullback. I'm interested to see the inventories, the report or whatever later on this week. That could change things, but if anything, I think it's going to be even better for the oil bulls. So yeah, pretty much from an oil standpoint, I have this alert set as 56.35 because that's going to be the first area of resistance as this thing tries to regain its feet and go back up. Once we break through that, then I think ultimately oil is going to retake the 57 and try to retest $58. That was pretty much where it all started. I think it was overnight last night, or was this, let's go back here. So that was Friday. But overnight, we saw we got rejected right around 57.50, and then we kind of just hung out right around $57 overnight. And then in the early market hours, what really set it off was, again, we tested that 57.50, and then bam, we just got smacked from there throughout the rest of the morning. And then we tried to retest, like I said, 56.35-ish, 56.30 to 56.35. We tested that range, got rejected again, and then we made new lows on the day. So yeah, that was pretty much the tail for oil for the day. And then we kind of just hung out in this range between like 55.30 to 55.45, kind of in that range. And you can see we're kind of just still hanging out in that range right now in the after hours. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how it plays out overnight. Like I said, I mentioned this on the Sunday Stock Watch. There's really no point in watching like the oil futures early on, just because after about 10 o'clock at night, nothing really tends to happen for the most part. I mean, you can see the same thing here. We kind of did nothing, and then we had a little move up early on, and then ultimately, right as like market open, we made the high of the day on Friday, and then it just did nothing. But you can just go back, if you just follow oil long enough, long-term track record, not a lot really tends to happen in the overnight session. It's more so about, I would say, 1 to 2 hours pre-market, right around 6 a.m. Central Time. That's when oil kind of starts to have a little bit of movement, which is 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Sometimes, obviously, it goes against that, but for the most part, there's really no point in watching oil futures too much in the evening, other than checking on it just because you're wondering. But hopefully our stream is still doing all right. And like I said, if you guys ever have like any questions, ticker symbols, or anything like that you want me to take a look at, definitely just shout it out there in the chat. And I'm always willing to take a look at whatever you all are looking at. But yeah, so nothing to really worry about with oil. We knew this was going to be a pretty tough area of resistance simply because it happened to us back in November when we were pretty much at free fall. When it comes to oil, we saw that it bounced around 55.25 early on in November, mid-November. Had a good little rally, about $1 or $2 rally, and then it ultimately got smacked big time, and we kept making lower highs and lower lows. I don't think that's going to happen. We're pretty much on the bullish end of the stick. We're going to keep making higher highs and higher lows, in my opinion, but could be wrong. Seeing crazier stuff happen, but overall, still very bullish on oil. If worse comes to worse, I'll probably hold my UWT over the next week or so, let it play out. Like I said, target sells somewhere between anything north of 16. I'll consider taking position off if I find that, if I find out that there's some resistance that I did not foresee at the beginning. You could see a first little resistance right around 15. Would not be surprised to see that, but ultimately I think this thing is going to push up to 16 plus probably sometime this week. I mean, you're not talking about a major move to the upside for it to go to 16. Like we said, it's around 1460 right now. So I mean, for it to get 16, I mean, it's still a good move to the upside, about 9%, 9.5% to 10%, but obviously from what we've seen today, that's not necessarily out of the realm of possibility. Overall, I think it's probably going to bounce back. If I was a betting man, I'd be willing to bet that oil's going to bounce back probably 1% tomorrow, which for this would probably mean about a 2 to 3% move to the upside. So, hence the 3x ETN. But we'll see. It's always interesting to kind of see how that works out. But and then obviously for those of you looking to get into Gush, I don't know. Gush just wasn't really attractive in my opinion. It didn't move hardly at all, where UWT just fell like a rock. Like I said, that's the reason why a lot of times I like to play UWT over Gush. I played Gush, made a quick 1.5% profit over a couple days, but UWT just tends to follow oil a lot more. Like, look at this chart and then look at this chart. They're a lot more similar. Or if we go over and look at Gush, I mean, it still follows it for the most part, like long term, but for short term swing trading, day trading, it's not, at least as of late, it hasn't really been quite as transparent with moving with oil. Only down 0.5% today. I mean, still down, but not enough to make it attractive to buy. I would have wanted to get in this. It didn't even set off my trigger of 1090 today. So, I mean, it didn't drop hardly at all today. So, that's why I decided to hop in UWT. Just a lot more attractive. Finally found some support right around 1428 to 1430. So, and I mean, it's a very attractive swing trade investment in my opinion. And then obviously, if you're looking long term, I mean, I still think ultimately this thing's going to test at least $20, and then probably sometime this summer 30, 31. So I mean, if you're looking long term, if you're like investing into like a retirement account, UWT might also be a pretty good longer term trade, something you might want to hold for a few months. And today was definitely a very good buying opportunity in my opinion. But yeah, so I mean, overall, I'm not like dissatisfied or anything. I mean, yeah, we quote unquote had a red day today, but it wasn't even necessarily red because it's only red at the end of the day if you sell in the red. So pretty much HEAR, like I said, we sold that, pretty much broke even, lost a whopping 10 pennies. Sold the Gush for profit, 1.5, roughly 1.4 to 1.5% profit. How's it going there, Shirley? And then we threw a bunch of money into UWT today. So, like I said, I mean, if you guys have any questions or have any ticker symbols, always just feel free to shoot them out in the chat. That's what I'm here for at the end of the day. That's what I do these live streams for. If you ever have any ticker symbols, questions, anything you want a second opinion on before hopping into, definitely just shout it out there in the chat. That is what I do these streams for, is for you guys. It's no fun whenever I'm just kind of sitting here talking to myself. But I know one of you, I forget who, someone in our Discord group chat called out Etsy the other day, and I actually did not play Etsy at all. I mentioned that I would consider it, but when we look at our one day, earlier on, I saw that it was around 60, and then obviously I was following oil most of the morning and most of the day because we had a crazy day within oil. It just barely did not set off my alert, and I missed out. I missed out on a potential good little buying opportunity, because if you would have played this, if I had just set my alert, let's see how much it just barely missed it. I think it was somewhere around like 55 something. Oops, didn't mean to zoom in. See what my alert was. Let's see, at or below 55.70. So that was a little lower than I thought. This thing dropped down to 55.88. So I mean, literally, if it had dropped another 10 to 20 cents, I would have been notified, and I probably would have hopped in with a few shares of this. So if you were to have gotten in around the price point of the low of the day, and you had rode it up just on that little quick after hour pop, you'd have made 17% profit, which I know, I forget who it was, but one of you rode that thing for, like, I think you said 15 or maybe more, 15+% profit. So amazing call out there. Had a very good, I mean, I wouldn't say very good, I said, but a good earnings report. I did not hear the guidance. It looks like it might not have been so well, or is it going on right now? It's probably over by now, but it sounds like the guidance maybe wasn't so well, as it pretty much gave up all those gains, but it looks like it's still over $61 in the after hours. So overall, good earnings report. However, at this point now, it's just a little bit on the overbought side, in my opinion. So if you're someone that was playing Etsy, definitely consider taking that money and running at this point. INTC, I heard a lot of people are loving some Intel right now. Intel's right around, let's see, we said entry of 54 with a stop loss of $4, a price target of 66. So let's see, first I want to look at the 180, 66. So I want to see where you got the 66 from. Let's pull up a further out chart, 1 year. So for $66. So if you're wanting to get 66, you're pretty much betting that it's going to make a new 3-year high by quite a bit. 66 may be a little hefty. I think you'll probably get somewhere, I think it'll make a new 3-year high, but I'm thinking somewhere probably around $60. When's the next earnings report anyway? It's not till April, so a couple months. You're going to have a pretty strong resistance there right around $57. You can see it got smacked hard ever since it got rejected there back in 2018, a little less than a year ago, but let's see, you got in at 54. So, I mean, if you got in around $54, somewhere around there, if you got in around 54 and rode it up to what's going to be a strong resistance, you're talking about a 5 to 6% return. Something I don't care about. I mean, it's good if, like, you're trading within an IRA, like something you don't want to be doing a lot of trades within, but this thing's definitely, Intel, it isn't really something necessarily that I trade, but I know there's a lot of good swing trade opportunities within this stock. You can see if you had bought it back in January, the end of January, a little less than a month ago, or about a month ago, I guess now. What am I on? 20 day? Okay, so if you were bought this about a month ago, and you sold it today, you'd have made about 15-16% in a month. So, I mean, that's not bad. Definitely a good little long swing trade opportunity there. So Sold Etsy after hours for 65. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm guessing on that initial pop, but yeah, that was awesome. I can't believe I missed out on that. That would have been a good way to make a little bit of money, but oh well. I got a lot of my chips in oil. But Intel overall, I mean, it's going to be a good investment overall. Even if you want to buy and hold this for a long time, you're going to get that dividend. I believe it's a quarterly dividend, isn't it? Let's take a look at the 1 year. Yeah, I think it's a quarterly dividend. So if you're planning on holding this for a while, I mean, it's a good company overall. It's probably going to continue to trend up. We are near an area of resistance, so just be careful with that. It could get rejected and pull back some to around like 52. If it does, you might want to consider loading up on some shares around that $52 point. But yeah, I do think overall it'll probably end up making a new 1 year, 3 year high of $58, probably 58 to 60 in my opinion. Bought some KHC, some Kraft Heinz. I heard that was still falling this morning. So yeah, dropped another 2% today. Let's look at the 5-day chart. It didn't really move a lot though. I mean, compared to the drop it's had, didn't really move a lot. I do think it's going to find overall, like I said, it's going to find quite a bit of support right around $34 in my opinion. So now might actually be a good time. Yeah, now might actually be a good time to pick this up for a little swing trade. You'll probably get it to around $38. So I mean, if you get in somewhere around 34 to 34.50, you're probably going to make at the minimum probably 10 to 12% profit. So I mean, that's a good little potential. And if it can go north of that, which I think long term it's gonna go, shit, didn't mean to do that. Go back. I think it can ultimately gap up to $40 sometime in the next month. You're talking 17 to 18% return. So there's good potential there. And you said you added some UWT. You're at some, so your average buy cost on UWT is $15.46. So you're, let me see, let's pull UWT back up. So you pretty much need to go up about $1, right? Yeah, pretty much $1. So I mean, you're not too big in the hole or nothing. I mean, I'm sure it's not great to look at, but I mean, even I'm down quite a bit. I mean, I'm down overall on that position, like I said, about 2 to 2.5%. Average buy cost $14.94. I do like my average buy cost because I don't know if you guys remember, I mentioned a while back for me to want to get into UWT, I wanted it to pull below $15.50. I think I even said somewhere around $15. So the fact that I have an average buy cost of around $14.94, I'm pretty excited about because, like I said, I have a good potential to make 5 to 10% profit this week on that position, which overall would be about $100 plus gain for the week. So that'd be pretty awesome along with the gains that I got from Gush. I'd be looking overall at roughly a $100+ gain on a $1,500 account. That's pretty good. So overall, I mean, even after the hit today, we're still up, I think, yeah, about 1% for the month for so far. I mean, obviously I didn't start actually trading in Robinhood until what, the 30th? Yeah, 30th. So I mean, have pretty much the rest of this trading week before it's officially been a full month since I started trading on Robinhood again. Swing trading is pretty much what I'm doing for the most part. But I'm thinking by the end of the week we're probably going to be somewhere around 1,600 plus if I was a betting man on the account. So it'll be interesting to kind of see just how that plays out. But let's see what we say here. VWM or VMW. I mean, goddamn, my B button is not working too well. Okay, so actually, I'm not going to lie, I don't know anything about this company. Let's take a look at the 180-day. Been on a roll. Earnings is coming up in a few days. Was that Thursday, I think? 3 days from now? Tuesday? Yeah, Thursday. It is near highs of the 180-day. Let's go out a little bit further. 3 year. So yeah, it's pretty much at all-time highs. Wow. If you'd invested in this a few years ago, you'd have made a shitload of money. But let's see, when did you say you got in? 176 with a stop loss of $4, price target of 190. So probably betting on a strong earnings report this week, I assume. If that happens, then yeah, you got in it at 176. I would have held out, but If you got in at 176 and you're wanting 190, let me go out again. So 176. If I can get my ticker close to that, pretty close. So if you want 190, you are talking what, roughly another roughly 7% return on your money. So that's not too bad. You might get that within this next week, depending on how good that earnings report is. Use point and figure. 10-day. So I'm actually going to set some alerts on this because I'm going to be interested to see. I'm actually going to set an alert right around 176 because I just want to see kind of how this thing moves as with the earnings. I'll probably set another alert somewhere around 170. Not that I'm actually like going to get in or play it. I just kind of want to see what happens with this one, with the earnings report on Thursday. I think it's probably going to wiggle within this range until the earnings report, though. Might move up 1 or 2% or might move down 1 or 2%, but I'm interested to see what happens with the earnings on this one. I don't know a lot about this company, but from a technical standpoint, I kind of want to see, by looking at that 180-day chart, I want to see how the earnings is going to affect it. It's heavily overbought. That's something I don't necessarily like. I mean, the RSI has pulled back some. It's still around 70, though, so I mean, it's pretty overbought still, but it doesn't mean it has no room to run still. I mean, RSI 70, it could run another 5-10% probably, but that earnings report's going to be a pretty big indicator of what happens with that one. So let's look at the 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour chart isn't too bad, so it's got room to run. I'll be watching it just to kind of see what happens. But yeah, hopefully, like I said, hopefully the stream has been doing pretty well. Hopefully we haven't had any issues. If we ever do have issues, definitely just feel free to let me know. But on that note, I'll probably just go ahead and start wrapping the stream up. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the stream so far. If you did, definitely make sure to smash the like button. I greatly appreciate that, and feel free to share it with any friends or family or anyone looking to make money online. And of course, if you're new to the channel, we'd love to add you to this awesome community. Definitely start hitting the subscribe button below. And more so than subscribing, check out that Discord group chat that we have. Super easy to sign up, totally free, don't charge for anything here. That's also one of the first links in the description box. We got over 60 of us in there now, so it's just awesome to see that community growing. We're having consistent conversations going on in there, so that's just awesome stuff. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, no problem, Shirley. I'm here for you all. Like, without you all, there would be no point in doing YouTube or trying to like build a network of a bunch of awesome people, because I mean, it's just easier to trade stocks whenever you have people bouncing off ideas off of one another, and not even just selling stocks, but like reselling, thrifting, all that good stuff. It's just awesome to network, communicate, and make new friends at the end of the day. That's what it's all about. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the stream, and hopefully you guys ended today green. Hopefully you guys are taking some good positions. Like I said, I'm super confident overall within the oil market. I'm not worried whatsoever. It's pretty, like I said, it doesn't move a lot after hours, obviously, pretty much unched. But we took a pretty hefty position within UWT. We sold Gush for a profit, 1 to 2%, about 1.5% profit. We sold the HEAR, only 10 shares of that. Sold it for pretty much dead on break even. And then we bought about 100 shares of UWT at an average price point of $14.94. So down about, like I said, 2 1/3% roughly as we speak. But it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens overnight into tomorrow with oil. But hopefully you guys, like I said, hopefully you guys are taking advantage of the dips, buying up some stuff. Overall, from an overall market standpoint, SPY, it got rejected. Like I said, that 280 to 281 is such a critical point. It's looking pretty weak in my opinion. Would not be surprised to see a red day tomorrow for the markets, if you're wondering. But that'll be interesting to watch as well. So hopefully you guys did enjoy the stream. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, we'd love to have you here. Definitely start subscribing. But until next time, guys, keep on going out there, making your profits, covering your profits, and achieving your financial freedom this year. And I will see you guys in the Discord group chat, or I will see you probably tomorrow, depending on the timing and whatnot, for another live stream. But until then, take it easy, guys.